Yes, Prabhu.
So we'll
Yes.
start with the Kirtan. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुनातिरवनचारी यशोदनंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनातिरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनातिरवनचारी यशोदनंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुनातिरवनचारी Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ राधे जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे जय राधा श्यामा सुंदर राधा श्यामा सुंदर राधे जय राधा गिरिधर राधा गिरिधर राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय कृष्णा जय कृष्णा जय कृष्णा जय श्री कृष्णा निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो गौर हरि निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो निताय गौरांगो गौर हरि पतिता पावाना पतिता पावाना पतिता पावाना गौर हरि जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गिरि जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल और ब्रह्मानंदे हरि हरि बोल. So we'll start with the prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. जय श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरों श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नस्तप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकीम्। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रये नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। करोति वाचलं पुण्यं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातम् अहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारणं श्री परमानन्दमाधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम्। ओम पवित्रो पवित्रो वा सरस्वती गतोऽपि वा व्यासमरे पुण्डरीकाक्षसः भगवद्गीता। हरे कृष्ण। So, Prabhuji and Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. So this is my first class actually discussing about Bhagavatam. This is the first opportunity I got it. So I really want to request you. So far you have hold my finger really. You all acted my, as like a father, as like a mother. You held my hand, finger, taking me all along through Krishna consciousness. You helped me to learn. So also this is my first class. I would also request you all to. This is just like, like a father testing his son or a mother testing his son. How much you are into Krishna consciousness. Today, I want to really see you. So that is how I am feeling this. So, Prabhuji Mataji's request today is more like a discussion. I would request all your support so that this session goes very smooth. Even if there are any mistakes or others from my side, please excuse me, please guide me how I can correct. So I got the opportunity to discuss the shlokas in the Bhagavatam from 34 to 53 today. Right, Mataji? Shilpa Mataji, 34 onwards, right, Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhuji, 34, 35,
30,
I think I mentioned.
34 onwards, okay.
Yeah.
So this is the discussion that is happening actually regarding the Ajamila story. So before we start with the shlokas, I would quickly go through, the scenario, what is happening there to give a quick idea. So this is happening as Mahesh Prabhu has explained last week. So this is happening, the scenario is happening in a city called Kanyakubja. And Kanyakubja is nothing but in the modern day, it is called as a Kanpur. Okay, and there was living a Brahmana. So this Brahmana, actually, he's a very humble Brahmana. He was very obedient to his father and his parents, actually. And, right from his childhood, he was properly into all these rituals and following everything very sincerely. But in the adolescence, after certain years, what happened once, he went to the forest to collect fruits and flowers or sticks for the sacrificial fire and kusha grass. So what happened, unfortunately, see how the Maya is influencing him. On his way back, he chanced upon a passionate harlot, intoxicated, who was singing with her sari not untied. So this is very unfortunate situation that he had come across through his eyes, and immediately Maya had influence on him. So what happened, though he was actually married to a Brahmana wife, and he got actually married to this Dasi, a female member of the servant class. Yeah? He got married to this Dasi because he got attracted to her and he got polluted through his association with her. Now, all the rituals, all the, the pious activities that he was doing, he completely discarded. He neglected the Vedic way of life that a Brahmana was expected to adhere to. And he resorted to a life of crime. What happens actually, when he got associated with Maya, everything goes completely wrong, right? So he got resorted to a life of crime for supporting his family, holding captives for ransom, gambling, committing frauds and thefts. He got completely into the impious activities. So what happened? It continued like this, and he begetted actually how many? 10 children with this woman. One good thing he has done, the youngest, that means the 10th one, the youngest of all, he named him as Narayana. Fortunately, that is one good thing he has done. And so he continued his life that way, and he was able to survive up to 88 years. And almost at the end of 88 years, on his deathbed, so he understood he's going to die and he saw the Yamadutas. But then as soon as he has seen the Yamadutas, he got really terrified, completely wary faces and holding nooses in their hands. So he seen clearly they are coming with the nose. So he understood that death is imminent. And then what happened? He got so much frightened. He called the youngest son, Narayana, very loudly, out of a panic, in fact, because he understood he is going to die. Now, hearing the name of their Lord, what happened? Narayana, the name, and the God himself, they are not different, right? So what happened? This is heard by the Vishnu directly. So this is, then what happened? Vishnu sent his Vishnu Dotas, the servants of Vishnu. They appeared in front of him to rescue him from the clutches of hell. So the Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas engaged in a dialogue regarding the nature of the righteousness and punishment. Now this whole slokas from 34 onwards, this is a good discussion between Yamadutas and the Vishnu Dutas. So I will open the website, Veda Base. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So we'll go through the shlokas. So 34 to 36. Sarve Padma Palasaksha Pita Kaushaya Vasaha Kirtinaha Kundalino Lasat Pushkara Malina Sarve cha Nutna Vayasaha Sarve charu Chaturbhujaha Dhanur Nisangasi Gada Shanka Chakram Bhuja Shriya. So we will go to the first two shlokas explanation. So the translation purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The translation, the order carriers of Yamaraja said, your eyes are just like the petals of lotus flowers, dressed in yellow silken garments decorated with garlands of lotuses and wearing very attractive helmets on your heads and earrings on your ears. You all appear fresh and youthful. Your 4 long arms are decorated with bows and quivers of arrows with swords, clubs, conch shells, discs, and lotus flowers. Your effulgence has dissipated the darkness of this place with extraordinary illumination. Now, sirs, why are you obstructing us? So, one of you, Professor Matajis, can someone help me to read this purport, please?
Are you sharing, Prabhu? Are you sharing
sharing?
screen?
Prabhuji, is screen not shared? I asked actually, is the screen
No,
shared or
no,
not?
the purport is not on the screen.
No, screen shared, but in the
You
beginning
still
of
see the
the
PPT. You still see the PPT.
intro.
Prabhuji, is it visible now?
Yeah, we
No.
are still seeing the PowerPoint screen, Prabhu. We had
Okay.
10 children by this woman. That's the screen we are seeing.
Oh, it is not switching, is it? Okay, one
Right.
second, Prabhuji.
Stop and start, Prabhu.
Yeah, I will do that. Okay, what? Inspiration. How about now, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Yes,
now
yes,
it's
I will read.
visible.
Prabhu.
Hmm.
Can I read Subhara, Prabhu?
Yeah, please, Prabhuji.
Please, Prabhu, go ahead, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So let me read one more time translation, Prabhu. Can you scroll up?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The order carriers of Yamaraja said, your eyes are just like the petals of lotus flowers, dressed in yellow silken garments, decorated with garlands of lotuses, and wearing very attractive helmets on your heads and earrings on your ears. You all appear fresh and youthful. Your 4 long arms are decorated with bows and quivers of arrows and with swords, clubs, conch shells, discs, and lotus flowers. Your effulgence has dissipated the darkness of this place with extraordinary illumination. Now, sirs, why are you obstructing us? Purport. Before even being introduced to a foreigner, one becomes acquainted with him through his dress, bodily features, and behavior, and can thus understand his position. Therefore, when the Yamadutas saw the Vishnudutas for the first time, they were surprised. They said, by your bodily features, you appear to be very exalted gentlemen, and you have such celestial power that you have dissipated the darkness of this material world with your own effulgences. Why then should you endeavor to stop us from executing our duty? It will be explained that the Yamadutas, the order carriers of Yamaraja, mistakenly considered Ajamila sinful. They did not know that although he was sinful throughout his entire life, he was purified by constantly chanting the holy name of Narayan. In other words, unless one is a Vaishnava, one cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. The dress and bodily features of the residents of the Vaikuntha Loka are properly described in these verses. The residents of Vaikuntha, who are decorated with garlands and yellow silken garments, have 4 arms holding various weapons. Thus, they conspicuously resemble Lord Vishnu. They have the same bodily features as Narayana because they have attained the liberation of Sarupya, but they nevertheless act as servants. All the residents of the Vaikuntha Loka know perfectly well that their master is Narayana or Krishna, and that they are all his servants. They are all self-realized souls who are Nityamukta, everlastingly liberated. Although they could conceivably declare themselves Narayana or Vishnu, they never do so. They always remain Krishna conscious and serve the Lord faithfully. Such is the atmosphere of the Vaikuntha Loka. Similarly, one who learns the faithful service of Lord Krishna through the Krishna consciousness movement will always remain in Vaikuntha Loka and have nothing to do with this material world. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji Mataji, so there is a very, very beautiful description of the Vishnu Dutas. So beautifully explained. Their eyes are just like the pearls of petals of lotus flowers, dressed in yellow silk garments decorated with garlands of lotuses and wearing very attractive helmets on their heads and earrings on their ears. They all appear very fresh and youthful. So when we read this, what is the type of impression we have, Professor Matajis? There is one guarantee we all have, that there is definitely a spiritual world, right? There is a huge spiritual sky, and Srila Prabhupada, he explains the spiritual sky is so huge, we cannot measure even one universe and one sky, but there are multi-universes, multiverses, and we cannot imagine how big the spiritual sky is. As per the scriptures, it is mentioned the spiritual sky is 3 times, and 1/4 is the actually that what is the material sky. Now, the population also, the spiritual world population is much, much bigger than the material world population. So how can we really imagine this? Anyone can guess, Professor Mataji? How can we imagine the spiritual world population is much bigger than the material world population? Actually, we are all struggling to go to the spiritual world, right? And not everyone is successful, very few are successful. In that case, how come the spiritual world is so huge compared to the material world? Any guess, Professor Mataji?
It's said in Bhagavad Gita, right, Prabhu? This is only, 1/4 of little world is 1/4 compared to the spiritual world.
Yes, this is only 1/4. So actually, in the Vedic scriptures, they say that, our planet is compared to like a small prison in a big city. How big is the prison? Prison is just a small area, a small place in a big city. So when we think that the complete spiritual world is like, the complete city, and our planet, or the 1/4 of the spiritual sky, is only the prison. So that is how it is. So the spiritual sky is almost 3/4 compared to this 1/4 of this material sky. Now, if we read this line, Sarve cha notana vayasaha. So how are they looking? They're looking very, very youthful. Not only youthful and fresh, but they resemble with 4 long arms decorated with bows and quivers, with arrows and with swords, clubs, conch shells, discs, and lotus flowers. So if you see Lord Vishnu, the resemblance is very, very similar. Very, very similar. We also see Vishnu with the sword, clubs, conch shells, discs, and lotus flowers. Now, what is the difference between these Vishnudutas and Vishnu? So here, Srila Prabhupada, he very nicely explained it's a Sarupya Mukti. So how many types of Mukti we have, Professor Matajis?
Sarupya,
Total 5, right?
4 plus
Total
1.
5.
Yeah,
Total
5.
5.
So Sarupya Mukti means the type of Mukti one gets who gets a Rupam, Sarupya. Rupam very similar to Vishnu. Right? 5 kinds of liberation, and out of this one is the Sarupya. And similarly, there are other called Sayujya, Salokya, Sasti, and Samipya. So if we try to just understand Salokya means someone gets a liberation and they get a opportunity to live in the same location, Salokya, in the same location as where the Lord lives, Salokya. And what is the next one? Salokya,
Samipya.
Sarupya we discussed. Sarsti means opulence actually. So someone who gets liberated, they get the opulence just like the Lord. So much of opulence. And any reference, Professor Mataji, do you know that who got this actually, this type of Mukti, Sarsti Mukti? It's mentioned in scriptures, Bali Maharaj, he was granted actually this type of Mukti, Sarsti Mukti. And that is also the reason he was given a special planet, the Sutala, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, right? The Sutala planet actually belongs to Bali Maharaj. It was given by Lord Vamana. So the complete opulence, just like the Lord, he was able to get. That is why he is called as Sarsti Mukti. And there is a 4th one called Samipya. Samipya Mukti is actually one what actually most of the Vaishnavas, they really, pray that they should get into. Samipya. Samipya means as close as possible to the Lord. So they can work as cohorts to Krishna. Cohorts means just like how Arjuna is supporting, how Arjuna was actually working with Krishna as like, he was like a friend. So that is the opportunity one gets when someone gets a Samipya, right? Samipya Mukti. So the last one is just Sayujya Mukti. Sayujya Mukti is who actually prefers this one? Is that this type of Mukti is actually going and getting absorbed into the Brahman, not really to the Bhagwan, but into the Brahman. But the problem with this one is, normally the material tendency is always like, we always want to have some type of a change or varieties. But with this type of mentality, even if we get Sayujya Mukti, what is the big problem? We cannot, because there is no variety in the Brahman, right? So what will happen? These people, they cannot stay really long in the Brahmana. So there is a good chance that they might fall back to the planet Earth or even the lower planets. Of course, there are chances even to go high also, but the chances are high to come back. So the last sloka, the third one here, Disho Vitimira Lokaha Kurvantaha Svena Tejasa Kimartham Dharma Palasya Kinkarano Nishedata. So this is a very beautiful example. It is telling that, so the word perfectly here which matches, which is really important is Vitimira, that means without darkness. Without darkness, Aloka, extraordinary illumination, right? So how is it possible? We have learnt in the spiritual world there is no sun. So without sun, I was always wondering how is it possible? So today we see the day and night only because of the sun and the moon. So can we imagine actually a spiritual planet without a sun and moon? But it is possible because in the spiritual world, there is no requirement of sun at all, because they are all self-effulgent, so much self-effulgent that they don't require sun at all. Not only the Vishnudutas or like, anyone, but everything, every object is self-effulgent there. So because of which, they don't require any type of extra sun. Now, the problem is, the Yamadutas, they identified Vishnudutas as very divine being. They understood they are very learned people. But then they have a confusion. They did not understand, why are you obstructing us? You look really very learned people, but why are you obstructing us? So this is not at all clear to the Yamadutas. Now let us see what happened in the next sloka, Prabhuji. Okay, sloka 37. Now Sri Sukha Uvacha. So Sukadev Goswami, he is explaining now. He is telling, Iti yukte Yamadutas Vasudevokta Karina Tan Pratyuchu Prasedam Mega Nihredaya Gira. So the translation purport is Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Vedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sukadev Goswami continued, being thus addressed by the messengers of Yamaraja, the servants of Vasudeva smiled and spoke the following words in voices as deep as the sound of rumbling clouds. Now when the Yamadutas questioned Vishnudutas, why are you obstructing us? Sukadev Goswami is telling that the Vishnudutas, the servants of Vasudeva, they smiled and spoke the following words. So why do you think they smiled? Because they felt that, they were not really understood by Yamadutas. Okay. So they spoke the following words in voices as deep as the sound of rumbling clouds. So someone can please, Prabhuji or Mataji, someone can read the purport, please. It's a very small purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danda Pranam.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Please, Danda Pranam, Mataji.
The Yamadutas were surprised to see that the Vishnudutas, although polite, were hindering the rule of Yamaraja. Similarly, the Vishnudutas were also surprised that the Yamadutas, although claiming to be servants of Yamaraja, the supreme judge of religious principles, were unaware of the principles of religious action. Thus the Vishnudutas smiled, thinking, what is this nonsense they are speaking? If they are actually servants of Yamaraja, they should know that Ajamila is not a suitable candidate for them to carry off. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So one important thing that we need to understand here is, so there are two perspectives, Yamadutas and then Vishnudutas. So Yamadutas, they are feeling that Yamaraja is actually Siddha Sattama. Actually, this is mentioned in the previous verse. Siddha Sattama is much above the demigods. So, and these people are serving Yamaraja. Now, they are feeling that why Vishnudutas are really obstructing, they understand this is our duty. And Ajamila is a sinful person. So, we have come here to obey the instruction of our, our master. But then why Vishnudutas are really obstructing? But on the other side, the other perspective is Vishnudutas, they are actually thinking that this is something nonsense, what they are talking. And they are not actually obeying the correct instruction of the Yamaraj. And they are feeling that Ajamila is not really a suitable candidate for them to carry off. But why actually they feel that, Ajamila is not a suitable candidate for them to carry off? We will see in the next sloka. Certain. So, Sri Vishnudata Ochuho. Yoyam Vayi Dharma Rajasya Yadi Niddeshakarina Bruta Dharmasya Nastatvam Yatcha Dharmasya Lakshanam. The translation. The blessed messengers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnudata said, if you are actually servants of Yamaraja, you must explain to us the meaning of religious principles and the symptoms of irreligion. Yeah, someone can please help to read the purport, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Shall I
Mataji,
read?
Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Mataji.
Purport. This inquiry by the Vishnudutas to the Yamadutas is most important. A servant must know the instruction of his master. The servants of Yamaraja claim to be carrying out his orders, and therefore the Vishnudutas very intelligently ask them to explain the symptoms of religious and irreligious principles. A Vaishnava knows these principles perfectly well because he is well acquainted with the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord says, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Give up all other varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Surrender unto me. Therefore, surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the actual principle of religion. Those who have surrendered to the principles of material nature instead of to Krishna are all impious, regardless of their material position. Unaware of the principles of religion, they do not surrender to Krishna, and therefore they are considered sinful rascals, the lowest of men and fools bereft of all knowledge. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.15, Namam dushkritino mudhaha prapadyante naradhamaha maya apahrita gnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. One who has not surrendered to Krishna does not know the true principles of religion. Otherwise, he would have surrendered. The question posed by the Vishnudutas was very suitable. One who represents someone else must fully know that person's mission. The devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement must therefore be fully aware of the mission of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. Otherwise, they will be considered foolish. All devotees, especially preachers, must know the philosophy of Krishna consciousness so as not to be embarrassed and insulted when they preach. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. So this last line is very, very important. Especially preachers must know the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Right? So here the Vishnudutas are also expecting the same when they want to understand why these Yamadutas are doing this activity. So they asked very clearly, they want to test if you are actually servants of Yamaraja. Who is Yamaraja? Yamaraja is one of the Mahajans. Mahajan means who can approve the dharma, right? So such a learned person, out of 12 Mahajanas, Yamaraja is one. So such a learned person, and you are acting as a servant to such a learned person. Now, I want to understand, could you understand the instruction of Yamaraja properly? Could you understand the instruction of your master properly? So that is what they said. Please explain us the meaning of religious principles and symptoms of irreligion. So normally, what do we do in our in SSR classes also? We say that when we want to understand who is a proper guru, what we should do, we should really understand if he has got Guru Parampara or not, if he has got, good knowledge or not. Has he read is he telling something from the Vedas or he is telling something out from his own knowledge, right? We test. Similarly, it's the same thing what Vishnudutas are doing. They are actually trying to test if they would understand the instruction of the master properly or not. So what did they ask? They asked to explain the meaning of religious principle and the symptoms of religion. So what is religion? Religion means dharma, right? So dharma means what actually? Finally, serving to Krishna, surrendering to Krishna. That is dharma. So when we don't serve Krishna, that becomes automatically a symptom of irreligion. So this is what actually Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. So we will see what actually the question, is it really stopping here or is it really further continuing, a little bit more in detail? We'll go to the next sloka, sloka number 39. Katham svidriyate dandaha kim vasya sthanam ipsitam dandyaha kim karinaha sarve aho svidkaticham narnam. So the translation, what is the process of punishing others? So they are actually trying to ask more and more questions. What is the process of punishing others? Who are the actual candidates for punishment? Are all karmis engaged in putative activities punishable or only some of them? Right? So, yes, some Prabhuji or Mataji, this is a small purport. Can you please help me to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, purport, translation, purport by Srila Prabhupada. One who has the power to punish others should not punish everyone. There are innumerable living entities, the majority of whom are in the spiritual world and are Nitya Mukta, everlasting liberated. There is no question of judging these liberated living beings. Only a small fraction of living entities, perhaps 1/4, are in the material world, and the major portion of the living entities in the material world, 8,000, 8 lakh, 80 lakhs
8 million
of
crore.
the, yeah, 80
8
lakhs to 84 lakhs forms of life are lower than human beings. They are not punishable for under the laws of the material nature. They are automatically evolving. Human beings who are advanced to consciousness are responsible, but not all of them are punishable. Those engaged in advanced pious activities are beyond punishment. Only those who engage in sinful activities are punishable. Therefore, the Vishnu Dutas particularly inquired about who is punishable and why Yamaraja has been designated to discriminate between the punishable and who is not. How is the one to be judged? What is the basic principle of authority? These are the questions raised by the Vishnu Duta. Correct.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. So it is very interesting to see that one who has the power to punish others should not punish everyone. Right? This is very clear. Imagine actually our school. If suppose the teacher comes right into the class and then starts hitting everyone because the teacher feels that he or she has the authority to hit everyone. So is it really happening? It doesn't happen, right? So similarly, one who has the power to punish others should not punish everyone. Imagine actually on the road, the traffic policeman who is actually clicking photos, is he clicking photos of everyone, whoever is passing on the road? He does not, because he understands who is actually deviating the rules only for them. Someone doesn't have a helmet, he immediately clicks. Someone is crossing the red light, he immediately clicks. So whoever is deviating out of the rules, whoever is actually not following the rules, he actually clicks the photo and they are getting punished. So one who has the power to punish should not punish everyone. Now, it is also mentioned, explained by Srila Prabhupada, there are total 8.4 million species. Out of these 8.4 million species, there are almost 8 million species. These are people who are in the spiritual world, right? And major portion living in the, not spiritual world, 8 million species. These are all the living entities which are actually like, animals or different forms, which are lower than the human beings. And only 4 lakhs are some form of, different species of the human beings. Now, these lower forms, they're lesser than the human beings, so they are actually evolving and they're not punishable. They're not punishable under the laws of material nature. But what is happening out of these 4 lakhs of species of human beings? Is everyone punishable? Not everyone is punishable, because there are so many people who are following actually the spiritual activities, who are really praying Krishna. So whoever is following these advanced pious activities, they are beyond the punishment. But still there are a good number of people who are not following, who are actually engaged in this all sinful activities. And what are those sinful activities? We know that illicit sex, intoxication, killing of animals, gambling, all these other sinful activities. So whoever are engaging in all these activities, they are definitely prone to punishment. Okay, so this is actually very clear. The question is asked, what is the process of punishing others? What are the actual candidates of punishment? We clearly understood. Who is actually getting punished is whoever is involved in this type of sinful activities, not everyone. So we'll go to the next sloka. Sloka number 40. Yamadota ucho. Veda pranahito dharmo hi adharmastada viparyayah. Vedo narayana sakshat swayam bhuriti sushruma. So this is a very interesting sloka. We will get actually some good understanding about the Vedas. The translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Yamadutas replied, that which is prescribed in the Vedas constitutes dharma. So now how to understand dharma? That which is prescribed in Vedas is dharma. The religious principles, and the opposite of that is irreligion. The Vedas are directly the supreme personality of Godhead, Narayana, and are self-born. This we have heard from Yamaraja. Prabhuji Mata, someone can help to read the purport, please.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Yes, please, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. 6th canto, first sloka, first chapter, 40th sloka. The servants of Yamaraja replied quite properly. They did not manufacture principles of religion or irreligion. Instead, they explained what they had heard from the authority Yamaraja. Mahajano yena gutasa pantaha. One should follow the Mahajana, the authorized person. Yamaraja is one of the 12 authorities. Therefore, the servants of Yamaraja, the Yamadutas, replied with perfect clarity when they said, Sushruma, we have heard. The members of modern civilization manufactured defective religious principles through speculative concatenation. This is not dharma. They do not know what is dharma and what is adharma. Therefore, as stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, dharma projita kaitavotra. Dharma not supported by Vedas is rejected from Srimad Bhagavata Dharma. Bhagavata Dharma comprises of only that which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavata Dharma is Sarva Dharma Parikyacha Mamekam Saranam Vraja. One must accept the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender to him in whatever he says. That is Dharma. Arjuna, for example, thinking that violence was Dharma, was declining to fight. But Krishna urged him to fight. Arjuna, aided by the orders of Krishna, and therefore he actually a dharmi, because the order of Krishna is dharma. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedaischa sarvai rahmeva vedya. The real purpose of Veda, knowledge is to know me. One who knows Krishna perfectly is liberated, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Shall we continue, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Dharma karme cha me divyam yoga evam yogatta tattvataha tattva deham punarjanma iti mameti so Arjuna. One he knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna, one who understands Krishna and abides by his orders is a candidate for returning home back to Godhead. It may be concluded that dharma, religion, refers to that which is ordered in Vedas, and adharma, irreligion, refers to that which is not supported in Vedas. Dharma is not actually manufactured by Narayana, as stated in Vedas, asya mahato sorry, asya mahato bhutasya
Nisvasitam.
nisvasitam yatat rigveda iti. The injunctions of dharma emanate from the breathing of Narayana, the supreme living entity. Narayana exists eternally and breathes eternally. And therefore, dharma, the injunctions of Narayana, also exist eternally. Srila Madhvacharya, the original Acharya, for those who Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya says, Vedana Padamo Vakta Harireva Yato Vibhu Ato Vishnu Atvatmaka Veda Ityahure Prudvedavadinaha. The transcendental words of Vedas emanated from the mouth of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Vedic principles should be understood to be Vaishnava principles, because Vishnu is the origin of the Vedas. The Vedas contain nothing besides the instructions of Vishnu, and one who follows the Vedic principles is a Vaishnava. The Vaishnava is not a member of a manufactured community of this material world. The Vaishnava is real known of Vedas as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarve rahameva vedyaha. Correct.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So here the Yamadutas are answering. So what did the Yamadutas reply? That which is prescribed in the Vedas constitute dharma. So they are very knowledgeable. They clearly telling that, in the previous sloka we understood, they heard from the Yamaraja, right? So they are clearly telling that, explaining which is prescribed in the Vedas constitutes dharma, and which is not prescribed in the Vedas, which is automatically becomes the adharma, right? And the opposite of that is irreligion. The Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a very nice line to be understood. The Vedas are directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vedas are not different from the Supreme Personality, Narayana, and are self-born. This also we will see how it is, why it is called as a self-born. Thus, we have heard from Yamaraja. So they have heard from Yamaraja, right? So they replied to Vishnudutas very obediently, quite properly, and they gave the apt answer. They told very clearly that they did not manufacture any, principles here. They explained very clearly they heard from the authority of Yamaraja. And what is the statement that is really affirming this? Mahajano yena gatasa pantaha. So it's clearly mentioned, somewhere it's mentioned here. Mahajano yena gataha sa pantaha. What does it mean? Mahajano. Because Yamaraj is one of the Mahajan. Mahajana yena gataha. Whatever he says, sa pantaha. Pantaha means it's to follow. So we follow exactly the same. And we heard from so person that what is religion, what is irreligion. Clearly they are explaining. Now, Bhagavad Dharma, what is Bhagavad Dharma? Is clearly mentioned Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Maam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. So what does it mean? One must accept the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrender to him, right? So what happened actually during the Kurukshetra war? Even Arjuna was confused what is Dharma. So what was he thinking? It is explained here. Arjuna was thinking the violence is adharma. But what happened after Krishna explained all the Bhagavad Gita? He understood the Krishna's instruction. Surrendering to him is something what actually dharma is. So what does it mean by surrendering, Prabhuji and Mataji? To follow the instructions of Krishna. That is what it means by surrender. Surrender doesn't mean that, we just act as a servant. What does servant do? Servant responsibility is we have to follow the instruction of the master. And who is the master here? It is Krishna. So when we say we abide by the dharma, it means that we as a servant of Krishna, we follow whatever he says. And what is his Vani? Where did he say what Krishna said is through Bhagavad Gita. So we have to follow the order of the Bhagavad Gita. That is what is actually important to understand here. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita 15.15 very clearly, Vedaicha sarver aham eva vedaya. So what means the real purpose of Veda knowledge is to understand me. So after reading all the Vedas, if you still do not understand me, that means that you did not understand the Vedas. Very clearly explained. Now this third line in the shloka, what does it say? Let me go up a little bit. Text 40. Vedo Narayana Sakshat. So Sakshat, Vedas means are Sakshat Narayana. So why it is mentioned Vedas are Sakshat Narayana? We heard also, in the Krishna consciousness several times, Krishna is non-different from Krishna in personal form or Krishna himself. So how do we understand this? So it is explained, probably this is a statement coming from the Rig Veda, what Prabhuji has learned. I will try to repeat the same. It is mentioned, Asya Mahato Bhutasya Niswasitam Etad Yad Rig Veda. So what does clearly it says? The injunctions of Dharma emanate from the breathing of the Narayana. So they are not manufactured actually, but they come out of the breathing of the Narayana. Okay. So the Vedas, they are not manufactured, but they come from Narayana through his breathing. So that is why it is mentioned. So is Narayana somewhere born? He is not born. He is existing. It's a Swayambhu, right? Similarly, Vedas are also eternal. That is why in the last line they mentioned, it is mentioned, Swayambhu Riti Sushruma. Swayambhu Iti Sushruma. That means this is what we heard. Sushruma means we heard from the Yamaraj. That Vedas are also Swayambhu, just like the Narayana. Right, Professor Matajis? Is it clear, Professor Matajis? I don't know if I'm really fast or slow, or I'm clear or not clear. Is it okay, Professor Matajis? Can we go in the same way?
Yes, Prabhu, it is good.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Thank you, Professor Matajis, for confirming. So we will go to the next shloka. 41. Yena swadhamni amibhava raja sattva tamomayah gunanama kriya rupair vibhavayante yatha tadam. The translation. The supreme cause of all causes, Narayana, is situated in his own abode in the spiritual world. But nevertheless, he controls the entire cosmic manifestation according to the three modes of material nature: Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. In this way, all living entities are awarded different qualities, different names, such as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. So we have to underline this: different qualities and also different names, like the sects Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. Different duties also according to the Varnashrama institution, and different forms. Forms also is important to understand. Thus, Narayana is the cause of the entire cosmic manifestation. So we will read the purport. So someone can help me, Professor Matajis?
I will read, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please, Prabhuji.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, please, Prabhuji, please.
Narayana, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, is almighty, omnipotent. He has multifarious energies, and therefore he is able to remain in his own abode and without endeavor supervise and manipulate the entire cosmic manifestation through the interaction of the three modes of material nature: Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. These interactions create different forms, bodies, activities, and changes, which all occur perfectly because the Lord is perfect. Everything works as if he were directly supervising and taking part in it. Atheistic men, however, being covered by the three modes of material nature, cannot see Narayana to be the supreme cause behind all activities. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.13, Tribir guna mayer bhaver ebih sarvam idam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mam ebhyah param avyayam. Deluded by the three modes, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. Because unintelligent agnostics are mohita, illusioned by the three modes of material nature. They cannot understand that Narayana, Krishna, is the supreme cause of all activities, as stated in Brahma Samhita 5.1. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, here there is something very important to again understand. So he's telling that Krishna, the Narayana, is situated in his own abode. He doesn't need to really travel or somewhere, go somewhere. But he's still sitting at one place. He is nevertheless able to control the entire cosmic manifestation according to three modes of material nature. And those are, we all know, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. But the way the living entities are awarded different qualities, different names, different duties, different forms, everything is basing on these three modes of material nature itself. So, and this Narayan is the cause of the entire cosmic manifestation. So, Srila Prabhupada, in his lecture, he explains, if suppose the moment we get up in the morning, we see the sunlight, can we say that only sunlight is there and sun is not there? It is just impossible, right? So if someone is telling that, okay, I see the sunlight, but I don't agree that there is a sun, that means he's a fool. And Srila Prabhupada, in a typical humorous way, he says he's a rascal, right? So, and similar way in the spiritual consciousness also, we have to accept that there is a God, because we are seeing the creation. We are seeing the creation, and there is a Srishtikarta also, and that Srishtikarta is none other than the God, the Supreme God, right? So similarly, we have to agree that God exists, Supreme God exists. Now, the three modes of material nature, how should we really understand this? So I will try to give one example, Professor Mataji. Let us imagine now in the Hyderabad, there is really very bright sunlight. Now, imagine that there is another place on the planet, say America. It is completely foggy because it is a little bit in the late in the evening. It is completely foggy. Now, somewhere in Dubai, it is a mixture of these two. That means it is neither foggy, not really bright. Okay. Now, but people sitting in America, because it is foggy, can they say that the sun doesn't exist? Or sitting in Dubai, someone says that it is a mixture of fog and sunlight, so probably sun doesn't exist. And whereas people sitting in Hyderabad, we say that the sun exists. Is it really a valid point? It is not a valid point. The sun exists all the time, but it is a mixture of the gunas that are coming out of these three modes of material nature. It is actually creating the different forms of the different qualities. So that is what Srila Prabhupada explains with this analogy. These different forms or qualities are coming actually through the three gunas. So we know very clearly how these three gunas are really, helping to create different type of activities, right? So how does people in the Sattva Guna behave? People in Sattva Guna, they are very, very spiritual and they follow the ritualistic activities very thoroughly. So in such type of people, they are actually mostly in the Brahminic, sect, right? That is how it is. And then people who are in the mode of passion, who are real in the Rajoguna, they are more into the Kshatriya. And Tamoguna. So Tamoguna, this type of guna, what type of category they go to? They go to mostly the Shudras. So this is how actually the qualities and the different sects, how they are actually oriented to each other. The Varnashrama institution is. Okay. And Prabhuji has read a very nice shloka here. This one, Thraibir Gunamair Bhavair, Ebihi Sharvam Idam Jagat, Mohitam Nabhijanati Mam Ebhya Param Avyayam. So what does it mean? Deluded by the three modes, the whole world does not know me. If we feel that even the Sattva Guna is really good enough, that is also still not good enough because they know only to follow the instructions as per the scriptural injunctions. But they do not surrender to Krishna. That is the problem. So even Sattva has an issue, right? Rajaguna has an issue because they are confused. Whereas Tamoguna, they are completely ignorance. So even these three modes, Traiviri Gunamair Bhavair, Ebi Sarvam Idam Jagat. Deliver three modes, the whole world, Idam Jagat, does not know me. They cannot understand me. They cannot understand that I am above all these three modes. Because unintelligent agnostics are mohita. Mohita means they are illusioned by Maya. So someone is illusioned by Maya means someone is conditioned by these three modes. Then they cannot understand my activities. Also in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, the sloka next to the sloka. So there is also something clearly explained. What is the solution now? Okay, you have sent me to this material world. I'm conditioned now with these three material natures. Now, what is the solution now? So that is what is explained in the Bhagavad Gita Shloka 7.14. Daivihi yesha gunamayi mama maya durachaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam yetam tarantite. So what does this mean? Clearly, Krishna says this divine energy of mind constitutes three modes of material nature. Is it difficult to overcome? It's very, very difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So he is providing also solution. I know you are conditioned with three modes, but if you surrender to me, then you can easily cross this ocean of hurdles. That's what he is clearly explaining. And in Brahma Samhita also, he clearly gave, clear instruction. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So it's clearly explained Krishna is Govinda, is the supreme controller. There is no doubt, right? Now, having understood this, if we still do not surrender to Krishna, what does this mean? That means we are adharma. We are not following the dharma. So we have to try to come to the Satoguna first. That is the first step, to understand what is the quality, because we are conditioned with three modes. And we also know that each time different type of mode or guna dominates. Sometimes we are in the tamoguna, sometimes we are in the rajoguna, sometimes in the satoguna. So every time we are in a different mode, we try to switch at least to the satoguna immediately. Now, how is this possible? Is this possible? So Srila Prabhupada, he gives a very funny example. For the non-human beings, for example, you bring a dog. You bring a dog or set of dogs. Let's say, for example, you bring 10 dogs and you tell all the 10 dogs, you are actually in the tamoguna. You are unnecessarily, doing all the wrong activities. Now sit quiet, whole night, you are not allowed to bark. Is this possible? It is just impossible, right? One dog starts barking, rest of all the dogs also start barking. So this is just impossible. And unfortunately, people in the Rajoguna, Tamoguna also behave the same way. We are not able to understand that Supreme God Krishna exists and we are not surrendering to him. Because of which what are happening? We are always conditioned by these modes. We are always conditioned. We are not able to come out of these material clutches and go back to Godhead. So similarly, he also explains in this shloka, Srila Prabhupada, he says, the different qualities and the different, what is he saying? So the different Varnashrama institution is also coming out of these three modes of material nature. So now how should we understand this? So just like we understand the Brahmana is intelligent, right? So it is also mentioned in the Shastras, the Brahmin comes from the head part. The head part means typically the brain. He is a brainy, he is intelligent. Similarly, the Kshatriya comes from the hands. So what happens actually, and the Shudra comes from the legs, right? This is what it is explained. Now, what happens, suppose when someone is coming and trying to hit us, say someone is trying to hit on our head, what will happen? First thing what we do is immediately we put our hands, to protect ourselves from the damage. So we are trying to protect our head with our hands. Similarly, also Srila Prabhupada tells, in the real nature, in the material nature, it is the job of the Kshatriya to protect the Brahmins. So, how nicely this is actually analogy explained. So why do we think that the Kshatriyas are having actually, the Brahmins as their instructors or as the ministers who are actually guiding the Kshatriya what to do and what not to do? Because the Kshatriya's duty is to protect the Brahmins, right? So this way, everything in this material nature is evolved out of these three modes of material nature. So any questions here? Professor Mataji is here. Or can we proceed to the next sloka? Shall I proceed, Professor Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
So we go to the 42nd sloka. Mataji, up to what time is allowed? I think that I'm going little slow, right? 9 o'clock or 9:15?
It is fine, Prabhuji. You have how many? 58, right?
So 53, Mataji.
53. Okay, 10 more. No problem, Prabhuji. You can continue as long as.
Yeah, just give me a hint, Mataji, whenever I'm, if you feel I'm going more or, are going slow, please give me a hint and I will try to fasten up. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Mataji. So 42nd shloka. Suryo Agni Kham Marudevaha Somaha Sandhyahani Dishaha Kham Kohu Swayam Dharma iti he ite Daihasya Sakshinaha. So these are all the Sakshis. What is exactly the Sakshis means? The translation: the sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day and night, directions, water, land, and finally Super Soul himself. All are the witness of the activities of the living entity. So you see here, Prabhupada Mataji, it is going more and more depth to understand actually, it is not simply present that, okay, one who doesn't follow is adharma, so they should get punishment. But it is also going in depth. How do we understand that they have done the, something a wrong deed? Who is actually witnessing all these things? And it is very clearly mentioned here. There are so many things that are witnessing. The sun, fire, sky, air, demigods, moon, evening, day, night, directions, water, land, super soul himself. All are witnessing the activities of the living entity. So let's see what Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport. So one of you, Prabhuji Matas, can you please help me to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I read Prabhu?
Yeah, please, Prabhuji.
Purport by Siddhanath Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The members of some religious sections, especially Christians, do not believe in the reactions of karma. We once had a discussion with a learned Christian professor who argued that although people are generally punished after the witnesses of their misdeeds are examined, where are the witnesses responsible for one's suffering the reactions of past karma? To such a person, the answer by the Yamadutas is given here. A conditioned soul thinks that he is working stealthily and that no one can see his sinful activities. But we can understand from the Shastras that there are many witnesses, including the sun, fire, sky, air, moon, demigods, evening, day, night, directions, water, land, and the super soul himself, who sits with the individual soul within his heart. Where is the dearth of witness? The witness and the Supreme Lord both exist. And therefore, so many living entities are elevated to higher planetary systems or degraded to lower planetary systems, including the hellish planets. There are no discrepancies, for everything is arranged perfectly by the management of the Supreme Lord. Swabhaviki Gnana Balakriyacha. The witnesses mentioned in this verse are also mentioned in other Vedic literature. Aditya Chandravani Lo Nalacha, Daubhyu Miropa Mirapo Hrudayam Yamacha, Ahacha Ratricha Ubecha Sandhe Dharmopi Janati Narasya Vratam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavad Pranam. So here, as I mentioned, we are trying to understand that there are witnesses actually witnessing everything, whatever we are doing. So what is happening actually in the material world? When I'm going to office, at the red light there, I see very clearly people, it's a corporate office in the financial district. I stop my car at the red light and I see that I'm the only one who is stopping at the red light. And everyone are like, auto drivers, at least, they see here and there, no traffic, they just cross. And our so-called corporate educates, corporate employees, they do not even bother, but they just go straight forward without even stopping. Because what is actually, why do you think that they are doing it? It is very clear that they understand they are not going to get punished for this. Very clear. There is no camera there. There is nothing in recording. So even if someone is holding them, imagine that the police or someone sees that, okay, you did a mistake and they held them responsible. That person says, where is the proof? Right? They ask that, where is the proof? Can you show me the evidence? So without evidence, that means that the sin is not done. This is how in the materialistic world. That is why we are living in a so much, gutter. Everywhere we have an issues. It is not so nicely organized like how the spiritual planet, created by Sri Krishna is arranged. With all the things that whatever man has made, there are always loopholes. So there is a discussion that happened with a Christian professor, what Srila Prabhupada is explaining. Christians, they don't believe in karma, right? They don't believe in karma. So he's asking for someone for whom they have got no evidence, how can he be punished? For them, actually, how is it in Christianity? I did a mistake and then I can go and, atonement is possible. I can commit in front of my pastor that, okay, I've done so much mistake. And, then my atonement, because of atonement, my sin is gone. They don't believe in karma, but this here, it is not the case. In our Hindu philosophies, it is very, very clear. We have a karma and how is actually measured? So if we feel that, okay, the red light is there and I'm going and I'm driving, someone is not watching, but there are people who are watching. What are those things that are watching us? Sun. Can we escape sun, Prabhuji? Okay, you can say that, okay, in the night there is no sun. But there is a moon, right? If not the sun, there is a moon. So moon is also witness. Fire is a witness because some organisms, they live in the fire also. So fire is a witness. If they are doing the mistake, fire is a witness. Sky is a witness. Air is also witness. Now, see how Krishna is so intelligently he has designed. He is putting air. Can we go to a place where there is no air? That means in the space, right? Is it possible? Yeah, okay. Demigods. Demigods are witnessing everything, whatever we are doing. Moon, evening, day and night, directions, water, land, and finally the one thing, even if we try to go wherever it is possible, imagine we are trying to go to a space where nothing, all these things exist. Even in space, we have the, the sun and the night, sun and the moon. But the super soul himself is witnessing every activity. Very clear. Every activity, whatever you're doing, both good and bad, is getting registered very clearly. There is a clearly super soul who is witnessing and who is writing everything. This is what good you have done. This is what bad you have done. So what is really, can we really escape? If someone is thinking that I can escape, then he is really a fool. Is it not true, Professor Mataji? He is really a fool. So we see in the next sloka, we go to the 43. Ethair adharmo vignataha sthanam dandasya yujyate sarve karmanu rodhena dandam arhanti karina. So in the 43rd sloka, the translation, it is how it is. The candidates for punishment are those who are confirmed by these witnesses to have deviated from their prescribed regulative duties. Everyone engaged in fruitive activities is suitable to be subjected to punishment according to his sinful activity. So it's very clear. Because the question has come, the Yamadutas were questioned by Vishnudutas. So they are asking, what is that made you to take Ajamila? What are you thinking that, he's following Adharma? So why do you think that he's deserving this punishment? And they're explained clearly, the candidates of punishment are those who are confirmed by these many witnesses, who have deviated from their prescribed regulated duties. Everyone engaged in fruitive activities, everyone engaged in fruitive activities is suitable to be subjected to punishment. They are suitable. Not mandatory, everyone is getting punished, but they're suitable to be subjected to punishment according to his sinful acts. So there is no purport here. It's a very simple thing. But what we have to understand, we have to clearly understand what is our dharma. Right? So what is our dharma? We have to understand we are all the part and parcel of the God. What does it mean by part and parcel here, Professor Mataji? Part and parcel. So for example, let me take this. This is the finger. So this finger is a part and parcel of the complete body. Now, we also say that we are the part and parcel of the Supreme God. Now, when the finger is told that this is a part and parcel of the body, so what is the duty of the finger? The finger duty is to serve the body. I feel itchy somewhere. So what does I do? I take this finger immediately and the finger goes automatically. The body doesn't ask. The finger goes automatically because there is a brain which is telling that there is a itching somewhere. Immediately, the finger is going and serving the body. So it tries to clear that itch. Similarly, when we are told that we are part and parcel of the Supreme God, what is our duty, eternal duty? What is our dharma? Is to serve Him. This is what we have to clearly understand. We have to serve Him. Now, what happens if we don't follow the dharma? We need a treatment. Right? What is the treatment? The treatment means we subject to punishment, just like a father or a mother or a parent, punishes the kid. Is that intention to really harm the kid? That is not the intention. The intention behind this punishment is to make that kid get better. So similarly, when the Yamaraja is taking someone to the Yamaloka for the punishment, what is the intention? The intention is not to really trouble the someone. The intention of the punishment is to make them understand what is dharma, to make them understand that you have done the adharmic activities. That is the reason you have come to Yamaloka. But you still have an opportunity to go back to Godhead, right? So that is what it is mentioned, that everyone engaged in the fruitive activities. When we are conditioned by these material modes, we are automatically conditioned and we somehow do mistakes. And when we do the mistakes, we are subject to punishment according to the sinful acts. So it's very simple and clear. So we go to the next one. So from here on, most of the slokas related to these three modes of material nature only. So we can go little quick. I hope so. Shloka number 44. Sambhavanti bhadrani viparitani chanagaha karinam guno sangosti devan nahi akarmakrit. So the translation. The sloka is small, but see the translation, how nicely Srila Prabhupada has explained. O inhabitants of Vaikuntha, you are sinless, but those within this material world are karmis, whether acting piously or impiously. Both kinds of action are possible for them because they are contaminated by these three modes of nature and must act accordingly. One who has accepted material body cannot be inactive, and sinful action is inevitable for one acting under the modes of material nature. Therefore, all the living entities within this material world are punishable. So somehow it is clearly mentioned that therefore all the living entities within this material world are punishable somehow. So why it is mentioned all are punishable, that we will see in the purport. So one of you, Professor Matajis, can you please help to read the purport? Very, very small one.
I'll read from.
Yeah, please, Professor.
The difference between human beings and non-human beings is that a human is supposed to act according to the direction of the Vedas. Unfortunately, men manufacture their own ways of acting without reference to the Vedas. Therefore, all of them commit sinful actions and are punishable.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. So anyway, it is very clearly explained that we cannot escape. So why even Sattva-guna people are committing sinful actions? Yesterday I had this doubt. I was thinking that, Sattva-guna people are following the rituals very sincerely. So what is the problem actually? Why do we think that, because of the three modes, okay, we all understand Rajoguna, they do some activities because they do several activities which are not really pious, can be subjected to punishment, and Shudras or the, Tamoguna people, definitely they do a lot of activities which are punishable. But what about Sattva-guna? What is the problem here? Anyone can explain? Little interactive, Professor Matajis.
Probably sense enjoyment. So they are into sense enjoyment because they think happiness, they can get happiness. And sometimes, and the other thing is that if we don't want to commit any sins, we still commit as well. So if we breathe, we are taking in insects. So if we are walking, we are actually killing any insects and so as well. So, or we are driving our car. So there is always there will be always sins attached to whatever we will do.
Correct. So even Sattva-guna people, they're getting attached to something, that is very, very difficult. Even the ritualistic activities, some Matajis, they are so much used to, to make a garland. It's also a type of attachment. Or, some type of a materialistic attachment is also possible from the Sattva-guna people. They follow the ritualistic activities and, to get up in the morning, to go to take bath. Okay. So there is a type of a ritual they follow. But they don't understand that they have to surrender to God. until and unless they understand that they have to surrender to God, that means that they cannot come out of these three modes of materialism. So that's the biggest problem. So everyone, some or other way, who is conditioned by these modes of material nature, if they are subjected to punishment. So someone is actually doing purely Sattva-guna activities, probably there is a chance that they can go to higher planets. And someone doing, the activities like the Rajoguna and the Tamoguna, definitely there is a chance either they fall to the lower planets, or if their karmic activities is good enough, they probably have an opportunity to be born again as a human on this planet. Otherwise, they fall to the lower planets, right? So we cannot escape these modes of material nature. That is actually the conclusion of this shloka. So next shloka 45. येन यावान् यथा धर्मो धर्मो वेश समाहितः सा एव तत्फलं भुङ्क्ते तथा तावत् अमुत्रवाय. The translation: in proportion to the extent of one's religious actions in the life, one must enjoy or suffer the corresponding reactions of his karma in the next. So Prabhuji, someone, there's a very small purport. Can someone please read this?
Can I read up again, Prabhu?
Yes, please,
If you
Prabhuji.
want.
I can read Prabhupada.
As stated in Bhagavad Gita 14.18, Urdhvam gachanti satvastha madhye tisthani rajasaha jaganya guna vrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. Those who are in the mode of goodness are promoted to higher planetary systems to become demigods. Those who act in an ordinary way and do not commit excessively sinful acts remain within the middle planetary system. And those who perform abominable sinful actions must go down to hellish life.
So Srila Prabhupada, actually, he narrated a very, again, a very nice story here to understand who is intelligent and who is actually a fool. Because we believe that the intelligence are the Brahmins, who are actually able to get into Sattva-guna. So I will ask you one question, Professor Mataji. If I ask, when I compare a lion and a rabbit, which is actually a powerful animal?
Simple, straightforward is lion.
Lion, right? So can we believe that a rabbit can kill a lion?
No.
So it is very difficult to imagine. So, but there is a story, very nice story. I'll quickly tell the story also what Srila Prabhupada has explained. So, in the forest, the lion is actually going out and killing all the animals because it understands that it is the most powerful animal. It can do whatever it needs. So it was continually going and hunting the animals. But what is happening? The animals are always in a scare mode. Every animal was really frightened. So they all gathered at one time, in the forest. They said that instead of every day we are all frightened, let us agree, on one conclusion, that each day one animal goes to the lion and we get fed. Then at least we know that how many days the rest of the animals we have, and at least we can live peaceful for at least some days. So all got into agreement, and each day one animal were going when the turn comes. Now what happened? One day this rabbit turn has come. This rabbit is a very fragile animal, very, very fragile animal. But what happened? But it is very intelligent, right? Very, very intelligent. So this rabbit, it goes to the lion, but it doesn't go in time. So lion is very, very hungry. So the lion got so angry. But then what happened? The lion asked the rabbit, why did you come late? Then rabbit, it answered very, very cleverly. On my way, when I'm coming to you, I have seen one more lion, which looks very similar to you. And it is telling that it wants to eat me. But I told you don't have any right to eat me. But, the other lion to whom I'm going, it has the right. But this lion got very, very angry. So then on hearing this lion, it got very angry. Who is actually my competitor in the forest? So then the rabbit agreed to show this lion, and then they both went to a big well. And what happened when the rabbit is trying to tell this lion that, okay, the other lion is hiding in that well. You please check yourself. Then when this lion tried to look into the well, what happened? It has seen its own reflection, but it is not intelligent enough. What happened? Then immediately it tried to jump, thinking that there is really a lion in the well, and it died. So now what happened? What is actually Srila Prabhupada is trying to quote with this example? We all have these three gunas, and how each species is actually utilizing it, it varies, right? The qualities, they differ because of the combination, because of that, infection of these three gunas in different forms or different proportions. The intelligence or the foolishness, it varies. And Srila Prabhupada also tells that, for this explanation of this shloka, he also gives very nice example. For example, on a street, there is a temple, and next to the little bit away from the temple, there is a wine shop. And little bit ahead, there is a brothel shop. And little bit ahead, say for example, there is also a gym shop, gym, okay? Now, there you see that people going on the street, some people enter into the temple, some people enter probably into the brothel, or some people enter into the, the gym. Okay, like this, people will make their own choices. So they might feel that, especially when it is really dark, they might feel that no one is seeing their irreligious activities. But they do not understand that they have to suffer the corresponding reactions of this karma. Even if they feel that, okay, I'm escaping in this life, I have escaped all the problems, all the sins that I have done, I'm escaping. They cannot escape this karma, reactions karma in the next lives. Right? Very, very clear. It is clearly explained in this purport. So we go to the next sloka, 46. Yateha deva pravaras vidham upalabhyate bhuteshu guna vaichitriyat tada anyatra anumiyate. So what is the translation here? Oh, best of demigods, we can see three different varieties of life, which are due to the contamination of these three modes of nature. The living entities are thus known as peaceful, restless, and foolish, happy, unhappy, or in between, religious, irreligious, or semi-religious. We can deduce that in the next life, these three kinds of material nature will similarly act. We cannot escape, right? So what is here clearly explained? Oh, best of demigods, we can see three different varieties of life. This we have discussed, just like that example, that certain areas, they have very bright sunlight. Certain areas, they have completely cloudy sky. Certain areas, they have a mixture, like, a little bit of light or not so dark. So similarly, like how we have the sun as it is, but we have three different combinations because of the contamination. There is also contamination that is happening because of these three modes of nature. And because of this contamination, we have the three different varieties. What are they? Someone can be really peaceful, someone can be completely restless. So someone can be completely foolish. Peaceful and foolish are completely opposites, and the combination of this is a restless. Similarly, someone can be completely happy, someone can be completely unhappy, but someone can be in between. Similarly, someone can be religious, someone can be someone can be completely religious, and someone can be semi-religious. So always there are three different varieties in life, right? So someone can read this purport quickly, please, Prabhuji, Mataji.
I will read it, Prabhuji.
Yes, please, Prabhuji.
The actions and reactions of the three modes of material nature are visible in this life. For example, some people are very happy, some are very distressed, and some are in the mixed happiness and distress. This is the result of past association with the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Since these varieties are visible in this life, we may assume that the living entities, according to their association with the different modes of material nature, will be happy, distressed, or between the two in their next lives also. Therefore, the best policy is to disassociate oneself from the three modes of material nature, and be always transcendental to their contamination. This is possible only when one fully engages in the devotion service of the Lord. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita 14.26, Mam Chayo Vyabhicharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan samati tvaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, one who does not fall down under any circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the spiritual platform. Unless one is fully absorbed in the service of the Lord, one is subjected to the contamination of the three modes of material nature and must therefore suffer from distress or mixed happiness and distress. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So it is actually very, very clear in the purport of the translation, clearly mentioned that, we are actually behaving as per the three different varieties. We are having a mix because of these three different modes of material nature, right? Now, there was actually, a confusion from the Parishit Maharaj asking the Sukadeva Goswami. So, you are actually telling Swami that, this is dharma, this is adharma. But what Krishna has done actually, Krishna was actually dancing with the gopis, he was actually taking the people who are actually married and, he was trying to attract them. So is he not doing the adharma? That was actually questioned by Parishit Maharaj. Because he want to really understand, everyone is actually telling that, okay, this is dharma, this is adharma. But how is Krishna actually following? Is he really following? But then Sukadeva Goswami clearly explained, that is beyond our comprehension. We cannot understand. God himself is perfect. There is no chance that he can do a mistake, right? So we should clearly understand these people are not ordinary human beings. These Gopas or Gopikas, they are not ordinary human beings. They are really so powerful, right? So it is clearly mentioned in, one of the slokas, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Biha. That means that the expansions of Krishna, they are not ordinary women. Krishna, he himself want to really feel how it is actually the bhakti, in the bhakti mode, in serving Krishna, how it would be. So with that intention, all the Gopikas are actually born. So if we think in the materialistic plane, how do we see? This is like a male and a female, they're dancing together, he's attracting. But this is only a materialistic plane. But when we really try to see in the spiritual plane, they are really the pure souls and they are actually the part and parcels of Krishna himself. So there is nothing wrong, right? So that is how actually we should think. But what happens, because we are conditioned by these three modes, we are actually always corrupt. And the moment we start thinking that way, we get the karma attached. And because of the karma, we cannot escape, right? Oops. Second. So we go to the next sloka, 47. Vattamano anyayoh kalo guna bhignapako yatha evam janman yayo reta dharma nidarshanam. Just as springtime in the present indicates the nature of springtimes in the past and future, so this life of happiness, distress, or a mixture of both gives evidence concerning the religious and irreligious activities of one's past and future lives. Yeah, this is very important to understand. Purport, Prabhuji, someone please, it's a very, very small purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please, Prabhuji, can you please read?
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Our past and future are not very difficult to understand. For time to understand, they under the combination of the three modes of material nature. As soon as a spring arrives, the usual exhibition of various types of fruits and flowers automatically becomes manifest, and therefore we may conclude the spring is the past was born
Adorned.
adored with similar fruits and flowers, and will be so adored in the future also. Our repetition of the birth and death is taking place within time, and according to the influence of the modes of the nature, we are receiving various types of bodies and being subjected to various conditions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So one important line to understand, Prabhuji Mataji, is So normally in English, we always say, right, whatever we are today is because of the past. What are the activities we have done in the past is what actually we are today. So here in this shloka, it is also telling not only the past, but also the future lives. It is very, very clear telling not only the past, but also the future lives. So, I will give you a few examples to little clearly understand. So, for example, if you take a pig, why do you think that pig is actually enjoying the stool so much? It is really in a gutter. It is eating the stool, but it is very happy and enjoying it. Why do you think that type of enjoyment is coming to that pig? So it's very clear for us when you try to see in the past life, probably he's a man or someone who enjoyed food without limits. Without any limits, he was just eating, 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 eating. Now what happened because of that type of a past life? Now Krishna has given actually a next life where he is born as a pig who can enjoy abundantly because that was what he's craving for, right? He want to enjoy. He want to enjoy eating. So he was born as a pig eating stool. So, and also very nicely said, Dharma Adharma Jnapaka. Dharma Adharma Jnapaka. Because the past life of this living entity is practiced in Tamoguna, it has no discrimination of eating. What happened? He is actually born as a pig in this life. Dharma, adharma. So everything is remembered. Dharma and adharma, everything is remembered. And also, we have to try to understand religious and irreligious activities of one's past and future life. So, for example, a dog, imagine that this dog is actually a prime minister in a previous life. Now, Maya actually, in fact, we think it is very bad, but it also does sometimes, very good things also. Now, what will happen actually once the Mrityu comes, our whole memory in the next life, though it is transferred, it is actually forgotten. So this dog, if suppose this forgetfulness is not there, what will happen? This dog, if it remembers that I was the prime minister in my last life, can the dog behave really a normal way? Because prime minister was getting a red carpet welcome all the time in his past life. So dog will also tend to develop that type of attitude in this life also. But then dog cannot get it. Gets a mistreatment actually. It will get hits wherever it go. So that's why Maya helps in that way. That the past life thing somehow or other way in this life it is not at all remembered. So that way it is actually good. Similarly, what will happen? Whatever the activities, religious or religious, whatever we are doing in this life, it is going to decide also the future lives. So this is the beauty of the creation and how these three modes are actually affecting us. So we'll go to the next shloka. 48. So everything is rotating around these three gunas only, Professor Mataji. So shloka number 48. Manasaiva pure devaha purva rupam vipashyati anumimamsate purvam manasa bhagavan ajaha. So manasa bhagavan ajaha. So we will try to understand what this also means. The translation, Basi Bhakti Vedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The omnipotent Yamaraja is as good as Lord Brahma. For while situated in his own abode or in everyone's heart, like the Paramatma, he mentally observes the past activities of a living entity and thus understands how the living entity will act in future lives. So purport we will read. It's also not a big purport. So someone, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhupada Vaishnava Prabhupada ki jai. One should not consider Yamaraja an ordinary living being. He is as good as Lord Brahma. He has a complete cooperation of the Supreme Lord who is situated in everyone's heart. And therefore, by the grace of the Super Soul, he can see the past, present, and future of a living being from within. The word Anumimamsate means that he can decide in consultation with the Super Soul. Anu means following. The actual decisions concerning the next lives of the living entities are made by the Super Soul and they are carried out by Yamaraja. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So here actually a glorification of Yamaraja is happening. He's telling very clearly Yamaraja is not an ordinary living being. He's as good as Lord Brahma. So why he is compared actually like a Lord Brahma? because he has the complete cooperation of the Supreme Lord. Now, why does he need the cooperation of the Supreme Lord? Because he himself, Yamaraja, cannot monitor each and every living being. So we have already seen in the previous sloka, there are certain things which are actually monitoring each and every activity of us. And in that super soul, the Paramatma is actually who is residing in our hearts, is also monitoring all the activity. So what is happening? Yamaraja is actually discussing with the super soul, or the Paramatma here, to understand, what type of activities done. Has he done the dharma, dharmic activities? What type of activities done? So he is trying to get the complete support from the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, to understand about the dharma, the dharmic activities that is done by a particular person. Now, this is like, in a magistrate court, the magistrate has the every authority to understand actually what is happening. So there will be, a lot of debate that is going to happen between the lawyers, right? So, but there is not explicitly told somewhere that this is what magistrate it is. Magistrates automatically understand. Magistrate automatically understands what is happening and what is the person really guilty or not. Is he really victim or is he really guilty, right? So here also Yamaraj, he gets all the information from the Supreme Lord. He gets the complete cooperation of Supreme Lord as a Paramatma who is residing actually in every soul. He gets the complete list of activities, and basing on this information, he understands clearly what life he should give in the next life. He clearly understands, because the karma, the list of all the karmic activities, he should get it to decide or to understand how the future life should be. We'll go to the next sloka, 49. Yathagnastamasa yukta upasate vyaktam eva hi na veda purvam aparam nasta janmasmitistada. Translation: as a sleeping person acts according to the body manifested in his dreams and accepts it to be himself, so one identifies with his present body, which he acquired because of his past religious or religious activities, and he is unable to know his past or future life. So I will read this purport quickly, Professor Matajis, because this is a little big. I'll try to read it quickly. A man engages in sinful activities because he does not know what he did in the past life to get his present materiality condition body. So it is okay. I will not go completely through. I will just try to explain. So what is telling very clearly in the translation, as a sleeping person, when we sleep, we get dreams. So what happens when we are in a dream? We forget that this is actually our body. So whatever the body we acquire in our dream, we imagine that that is actually our body, right? We forget that this is our body. So similarly, what happens when we get a next life, we forget that, what was our past body, past life body. We don't remember it. Okay, that is what exactly Srila Prabhupada is telling. In a dream, the body manifests and accepts it to be himself. So one identifies that it is his present body. Similarly, what happens? Because of his past religious or religious actions, we get something, life. And after we get into that life, we don't remember why we got this type of life. From the past lives, we cannot have any clue. Just like, in a dream also, we don't have any clue, right? We forget ourselves that this is our body, actual body, but we are actually, this is a dream. We don't really understand it. So that is what really Srila Prabhupada is telling. We cannot remember our past life, religious or religious activities also. We cannot remember anything. So we will go to the next sloka. We will not go through the complete purport. It's already 9 o'clock. I understand I'm getting late. Sloka number 50. Panchabhihi kurte swarthan panchavedata panchabhi ekastu sodasena trin swayam saptadasho snute. The translation. This is sloka number 50, right? Okay. Translation: above the 5 senses of perception, the 5 working senses and the 5 objects of the senses is the mind, which is the 16th element. Above the mind is the 17th element, the soul, the living being himself, who is in cooperation with the other 16, enjoys the material world alone. The living being enjoys 3 kinds of situations, namely happy, distressful, and mixed. So I will not go to the purport. I will combine the next sloka and I will try to explain Roshan Mataji. These are very, very similar. Sloka number 51. Tad etat shodasa khalam lingam shakti trayam mahat dhate anusamsritim pumsi harsha soka bayaditam. So what does it mean? The subtle body is endowed with 16 parts. The 5 knowledgeable acquiring senses, 5 working senses, and the 5 objects of sense gratification in the mind. This subtle body is an effect of the 3 modes of material nature. It is composed of insurmountably strong desires, and therefore it causes the living entity to transmigrate from one body to another in the human life, animal life, and life as a demigod. When the living entity gets the body of a demigod, he is certainly very jubilant. But when he gets a human body, he is always lamentation. When he gets an animal body, he is always afraid. In all the conditions, however, he is actually miserable. His miserable condition is called samsriti, or transmigration in material life. So, Prabhuji Mata, someone can read the purport. Very small
Can I read?
purport. Yes, please, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. The sum and substance of material conditional life is explained in this verse. The living entity, the 17th element, is struggling alone, life after life. This struggle is called samsruti, or material conditional life. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the force of material nature is insurmountably strong. Daivi esha gunamai mamamaya duratya. Material nature harasses the living. Srila Prabhupada word is so super. Material nature harasses the living entity in different bodies. But if the living entity is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes free from this entanglement, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Mam yeve prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Thus, his life becomes successful. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this sloka actually reads, a little bigger explanation, but I will try to make it short. So here it's clearly mentioned how is the subtle body composed of, right? So it is telling there are different things, 5 senses of perception. What are the 5 senses of perception? Prabhuji, anyone remembers? Total 16 it's mentioned. So what are those 16? Let's try to quickly check. First things are 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses, and 5 objects of sense gratification. So what are those actually 5 senses of perception? Let's start with that. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. These are the 5 senses of perception. Now, what are the working senses? So we have the voice, we have the arms, legs, anus, and genitals. These are all the working senses. Similarly, we have the 5 objects of senses, which are those like eyes, ears, nose, skin, tongue. These are all the 5 objects of senses, right? So these are the 15 actually. So what is the 16th part? The 16th one is called as the mind. So mind is above all these things. So these are all the 16 parts which are constituting actually the subtle body. Now this subtle body is an effect of the 3 modes of material nature. So what is happening? We are actually, the subtle body is finally, it is getting effect because of these 3 modes of material nature. So naturally what is happening? It is composed of insurmountably strong desires. Automatically strong desires are coming, and therefore it causes the living entity to transmigrate from one body to another in the human life. So because of this, though we have this, the mind, which is above all these 15 parts with the different senses, but somehow mind, as long as it is the master, we are good. But the mind, the moment it is getting succumbed to these senses, what will happen? We are fallen down. So we all know that, when we fall down, we fall to the lower planets. And when our mind is able to really act as a master and try to maintain a really dharmic life, we have a chance to go to the higher planets also. So actually, yeah, I think the next sloka explains the 24 parts. That also we will see quickly. Sloka number 52. So dehi ajno jita sadvargo nichan karmani karyate koshakara ivatmanam karmana achadya muhyati. So what is the translation? The foolish embodied living entity, inept at controlling his senses and mind, is forced to act according to the influence of the modes of material nature against his desires. He is like a silkworm that uses its own saliva to create a cocoon and then becomes trapped in it with no possibility of getting out. The living entity traps himself in a network of his own fruitive activities and then can find no way to release himself. Thus, he is always bewildered and repeatedly he dies. So, Prabhuji Mataji, it is very clear. So, what is happening in this material world? We are making a cocoon, just like a silkworm is making a cocoon and is getting trapped in it, right? Okay, the end result is good. It is finally becoming a butterfly. But what is happening actually? The silkworm, it is getting actually really trapped into it and is making a cocoon and it is died. So what is actually the problem? We as a human beings, we are also, because conditioned by these three material modes, we are trapped. We are trapped in these three modes. We are never thinking to go beyond. So what Krishna says, we have to go beyond these three modes to reach him. But because, we are trapped into these three modes, we never try to understand that we have to go beyond it. We are always trapped. Not only in this life, because of the type of qualities we exhibit in this life, our next life is decided. So even in that next life, if we don't understand that we have to surrender to Krishna, then we are always trapped and we are always trapped in the cycle of birth and death. So that is actually the conclusion here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Aravind Prabhuji.
Mataji?
Prabhuji, I will have to drop off. I have a session now. So if you want to continue, I can make you the co-host and then team.
Mataji, if you give me 5 minutes, I can close, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji. No, we still have 6 shlokas, no, Prabhuji?
No, Mataji, this is a 52nd, right? We have 53. So this is 52nd. We have only one shloka left.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, we'll finish, Mataji. Sorry.
No problem, Prabhuji. It's nice going. Yeah, please go ahead.
Nahi kachit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit karyatahi avasaha karma gunai swabhavikar balat. Gunai swabhavikar balat. This is very important to understand. I will quickly read the translation. Not a single living entity can remain unengaged even for a moment. One must act by his natural tendency according to the three modes of material nature, because this natural tendency forcibly makes him work in a particular way. So it doesn't require really a big explanation, Prabhuji and Matajis. I want to really conclude to clearly understand, what is the conclusion? Okay, let's see that, we try to understand from the Ajamila point of view. So Ajamila, what actually he has done? He has done a lot of sins, really lot of sins. But one good thing, knowingly or unknowingly, what he did, he named his 10th son as Narayana. So on the deathbed, because he was reciting the Lord's name, and because the Lord's name is none different from the Lord himself. So that is the only reason he was able to get an opportunity to get liberated, right? Opportunity, that is the reason Vishnudutas have come. So similarly, Prabhuji and Matajis, the conclusion is, let us not try to understand that, we are born here to enjoy. This place is a Dukhalayam. And here we have to understand, we have to come out of this Dukhalayam. And what should be done to come out of this Dukhalayam? And that we are fortunate enough, we came into Krishna consciousness, we understand the Vedas, we have opportunity to discuss Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam like this. After understanding all these things, we have to understand, we have to go beyond these three modes of material nature. And only with this, we are able to go back to the Goloka. So with this, I will conclude, Prabhuji Matajis. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for bearing me really for long. And I'm extremely sorry. I'm really late. I don't know what was the time limit, but I just continued. Sorry, Prabhuji Matajis.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It was very wonderful session. That's
Thank you,
why
Mataji.
everyone were listening. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Prabhuji Matajis.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
For simple stories and your sloka recitation. Thank you.
Prabhuji, can you be a little bit louder? I could not hear. Sorry.
I'm saying for simple stories that you narrated and shloka recitation. So that was very well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Actually, many
Thank you,
things are very,
Arbabu.
very similar at the same time. They are like, small, small differences are there between shlokas, and for which, I need to spend little time. That's taken little. I don't know how everyone manages. Since this is my first time, next time I'll try to manage a little bit in a short time. Prabhuji.
Thank you, Arbabu.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Satya Prabhu, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
ప్రభుజీ ఒక క్వశ్చన్ ఉంది యాక్చువల్ గా చాలా రోజుల నుంచి.
చెప్పండి ప్రభుజీ ప్లీజ్.
ఇప్పుడు మామూలుగా మనకి భగవద్గీత శ్లోకం ఉంది కదా, చాతుర్వర్ణం మయా సృష్టం గుణ కర్మ విభాగ అనేసి అని. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఒక గుణంలో కంటిన్యూస్ గా ఉండం కదా, గుణం మారుతూ ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు చూస్తే మీరు అజామిల్ స్టోరీ, టెల్లింగ్ అబౌట్ అజామిల్ స్టోరీ, and he was born as a brahmana, but he became which is a sattva and then he became such a guy because it is all tamoguna, all the tamoguna activities he is doing. So I really couldn't understand, like, when God said that, okay, I'm going to, this is the varnam is decided by the guna, but guna is not consistent, right? That guna is changing every day. In the morning we are seeing one guna, evening one guna, night one guna. So how it is decided that one should be born in, as a brahmana or a kshatriya or a vaishya or a shudra, like that, when the guna is keep changing?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think it is also clear, just because someone born as a Brahmana, he will not become Brahmin, right?
Correct. That's what.
Correct, yeah. So it is basing on the guna only, the sect is also decided. So
correct.
if, yes, Prabhuji,
But
please.
guna is also changing, right? He is not staying in that guna all the time.
Yes. So that is exactly that what we discussed also today in the shlokas, Prabhuji. We are always having a mixture of all these qualities. That is also one of the reason why we had this 8.4 million species. This is not like, we cannot tell this, all the animals we cannot categorize. These are in the Rajoguna or Tamoguna. These are all mixture of combinations. Just like that example what I mentioned, that story about the rabbit and the lion. It's the same animal, they have a different guna. So depending on the situation, it is possible we exhibit different gunas. So though we are born like, it is born like a lion and a rabbit, it's not like, they are fixed. At that moment, rabbit was showing a guna, sattva guna, where it exhibited its intelligence. Whereas the lion, it was purely in the tamoguna or rajoguna. It was only trying to fight.
Correct.
Right. So it is also the same, Prabhuji. We actually, every human being or every living being, to that point, we exhibit the different mixtures of these three gunas. We cannot exhibit purely sattva guna or purely tamoguna, rajoguna. We always have a combination of all these things.
Yeah. So now that's my question is, okay, when a living entity has to take his next birth, so but in this birth, let's say he is already a human being, but he's keep changing his he's in different guna, he's all controlled by the three gunas. So how God will decide, okay, what is his next birth is going to be, whether he is going to be a brahmana or a vaishya or a shudra, depending
the
on
guna
his
which dominates, Prabhuji. So that example what we have seen, I mean, my understanding is like this. Like I mentioned the pig example, right? Someone who was actually exhibiting the tamoguna a lot, he is definitely, it's not that, he's eating 24 hours and 365 days all the year. But the problem is he's actually eating so much and is exhibiting more the tamoguna.
Okay.
This feature is categorized, and in the next life, Yamaraj, he could clearly understand, he could make out clearly, this is his quality in the past life. If I take the account of all the karma in all the past life, and mixture and combination of all the gunas, now after all the gunas, now I see that this is the dominant activity or a combination. It's a mixture of all the three gunas. I cannot say that this is his tamoguna is dominant all the time. Even between these three gunas, there is a big scale. Imagine, Prabhuji, and so many small lines, like how you have a millimeter scale, like how small lines are there. Just like three ends of sattva guna and the tamoguna, in between rajoguna, we have lot of variations of 8.4 million species. So somewhere our combination of gunas will fall into one of the lines, and that is what exactly the species that we are going to born to.
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay, so that okay. So what I understood is, maybe he's in the whole life, whatever is the dominant guna, that based on that, it will be decided.
No, not exactly the dominant guna. That will play a major role. But we have to understand that plays a major role, but we have to understand. See, Prabhuji, one clear. Even in the pigs, not every pig is like that. For example, we have come across the instance where a crocodile, in one of the temples, it has never eaten non-veg. So we cannot say that, that because it's a crocodile, it is always in a tamoguna, rajoguna. Even a crocodile can have the satoguna. So it's a combination of these gunas. Probably you will be born like a pig, but even, pig is also worshipable. We have a Varahadev, right? Even as a pig, probably it is not eating the stool, or maybe it is eating vegetables. That is also possible. So, yes, so this is a combination of these three gunas, and out of these three guna, different combinations, God could make so many combinations that he has decided 8.4 million different species can be categorized for each as per the guna.
But animals, does it mean that animals also are under the influence of three gunas?
No, Prabhuji, animals do not have any guna. I'm just giving that because of the type of guna what we have, though as a human, if we don't utilize it, if the result comes that we should become an animal, then yes, it is possible. But animals do not come under these three gunas. They are evolving.
Okay, Prabhuji, I think it's getting late. Sorry, Prabhuji.
My understanding is, just to and others can, right, that animals also are covered by, all living entities are covered by three gunas. So it is not only human beings. Everybody is covered by three gunas.
But they don't have
because of
in
the three
Bhagavatam,
gunas, we
I
get
read
different bodies.
Prabhuji. I think in this one of the shlokas only in the purports, I remember I read that out of 8.4 million species, these 8 million species are purely, they are low level living entities, which are not human beings. And they don't have any influence of these material modes. I read it, Prabhuji. I will try to, check it, and I will put it as a screenshot in our group, Prabhuji. We can cross check. Someone who has the pakka this information can FM here, Prabhuji Mataji. I definitely remember I read this somewhere in the early shlokas only. I will try to check this and I'll put it in the group, Prabhuji. So it is getting late. In the interest of time, we will conclude this and we can discuss in the group, Prabhuji.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Mataji. Thank you very much once again for giving me opportunity.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandot Pranam.